This is the last video in the series, and for some of you, this is really the challenge of the LANTITE test. Some of you will be teaching young children, and yet you're being asked to review year 9 and 10 English literature and mathematics. But there's some really good news. Most students find that with a little bit of practice and preparation, they're able to get through the test. Being nervous is completely natural and normal, and we can't take that away. But there are some tried and tested suggestions that can really help make your test a little bit more successful and certainly more doable. So here's some suggestions for preparation that most of your classmates will have done or will agree with. The first one is doing the practice test from ASA, and there's Curtin University materials as well. Your own university may have even more materials, but the important thing is to time them. So do them within the time limit allowed by LANTITE. Doing them first time with no timing, okay, great, and you can kind of try and work it out, but even if you repeat them, do them within the time limit. That really sets you up for the actual exam. Some students find the time limit is no problem, but for some that's really the issue when they're doing especially the literacy section. Number two, know that you do have enough time. It will seem that for a few of you, you just run out of time with the reading. But point one, do the test in the time limit allowed, and that gives you a really good feeling for the rhythm you need when you actually face the test. The test itself, everyone has a different opinion, but most people say it's about the same level. Some people say it's slightly easier, some people say it's slightly difficult, which would make sense. LANTITE does adjust the scores depending on the difficulty of the test. But you will have enough time. I know they're saying 1.5 minutes for every question, but that depends on the question, doesn't it? Number three, know that this level is not impossible. You've all done this. You've passed year 9 maths, you've passed year 9 English, and even if you haven't, for the very few of you who may have come back, and good on you for coming back as mature age students, you're smart people. You're getting through university, so you can do this. It may take a bit of working back, so look at the mistakes you make in the literature test and the mistakes you look at you make in the maths test, and try and work out, okay, what's the rule I need? Ask your university for help. There's a ton of help available. There's also Facebook pages and private tutors if you're rich, but you can do this. It does take a bit of work in refreshing some pretty old memories that maybe you've tried to shut away, but it's very, very possible. And the last one is to know that ASA is not trying to trick you. They're going to have some questions that are going to be harder than others. That's okay, you don't need 100%. So if you find that one question or a couple of questions are really, really driving you crazy, the important thing is to know, okay, that's really testing something that maybe I'm not great at, so leave it and move on. You may find that that's hard to do. Some people just sit and work out one question, which is not worth a lot, but they spend too much time and then they're kind of finished at the end. So do a couple of tests, know that the time is reasonable and the level is reasonable, and you'll find that approaching this is a little bit less stressful than maybe you think. The second set of advice is during the test. There's actually some good advice for before the test. Please log on, make sure you can access everything you need before the test. This is for the guys who are doing ProctorU. That seems to be a bit of an issue for some students. Make sure that everything can work on your device if you're doing it from home. actual test site, again, they do talk about make sure that you're registered and you're logged on and everything's good to go. Your university will help you with that. But during the actual test, the first thing is pace yourself. So remember we said you want to do some timed practice tests. This will give you a feeling for how fast you need to go. Some people finish in an hour or 45 minutes, good on them. But if you're not that person, that's okay. Just know the kind of speed you need to go and get through each question at a reasonable pace. The main thing is don't dwell on one question that's driving you crazy. Breathe. I know it's a bit of it seems a bit kind of pointless, but it's so important. If you're finding you're getting a bit stressed, you know the old trick. Breathe in for 3, hold for 3, breathe out for 3. As stupid as that sounds, it really works to just reduce your stress by 1 notch and then you move on. Know that you're going to be nervous. Everyone's nervous, but you want to be able to control that nervousness. And everyone's different, right? Everyone has a different level of nervousness, but this is something you're going to make your students do. You're going to give them tests, so know the experience. It might give great empathy. And the breathing trick, honestly, it really does work for everything in life, but tests, it's a magic thing. So if the breathing is not really working, take a break. For 1 minute, just stop. Put everything down, look at the ceiling, think of the place you love to be and the thing you love to be doing, and just for 1 minute, think about that. Don't think about the test. That break can really reset your brain, can really get your concentration going. And it's a strategy that's been used forever and has worked forever, especially for these kind of tests that can feel very high stakes. This is your career that you really want to do. So some people put a lot more emphasis on the test than you really need to. Take a break. 1 minute, it's not going to make any difference to the test as a whole, and you might need to do it more than once. It's really absolutely understandable and a very good strategy for most students. Rushing through tests can sometimes cause a bit of confusion for some of us. And the final one is don't worry about anyone else. I've seen some wonderful posts about people clicking their mouse was driving them crazy, or the examiner didn't look happy if they're doing Proctor U or invigilators. Don't worry about anyone else. They're not interested in you and they're not relevant to you. If you do have problems with noise, I know some test centers will actually give you earplugs if you ask for them. But again, it is what it is. It's really something that we can let affect us more than something that actually does affect us. Focus on yourself and what you're doing at the moment and what you think is right or wrong in terms of the answer, and just keep moving through one by one rather than worrying about the whole test and what if, that's not relevant to anyone. Just do question 1 and then you can worry about question 2 after you've finished question 1, and you'll find that the time flies. All of this I know is easy for me to say as an old person who's finished most of the tests I will ever have to do, I hope, until I get to the dementia tests. But it works, it really works. And the sooner you learn this, the better. And the sooner you teach your kids this, the better. They will find that they become more successful as well. And know that everything is doable. Thousands of students have done this test and they've survived. Some of them have had to repeat it a couple of times, but that's not the end of the world. Keep focusing on on the next thing you need to do, and I'm sure you'll be very, very successful. The idea is to prepare, focus, and do your best. Good luck. I've clearly done too many videos. I'm running out of voice, but I'm sure you'll be fine. See you in the classroom.